Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Bite Size Nutrition Podcast. I'm Jillian, and today I wanted to talk specifically about how working on your relationship with food changes your life. And I want to give you specific examples from my life because when I look back at who I was up until even my early 30s, I'm 37 years old. It's hard for me to believe too. When I look at who I was and how I related to food and how I related to myself, there were so many things that I look back now and I'm like, how did I not see it? How did I keep doing the things that I was doing with food? And honestly, I say this all the time is when we know better, we can do better, right? We have the opportunity to do better when we have more tools, when we have more education. I didn't have a lot of great education around what a positive relationship with food looked like. I didn't have great examples of it. So I had to create that for myself. And I do talk about my history with relationship with food and body image. I talk about losing my period and getting my period back. I talk about that, and I think it's episodes 27 and 28. So if you want to know more about that, you can go back and listen to those episodes. But really brief overview, I struggled with food for most of my life. I was very insecure for most of my life. I got made fun of a lot when I was younger for what I looked like. I had weird teeth, I had a weird haircut, I was chubby. And I was friends with the hot, quote unquote, hot popular girls, and I felt like I stood out like a sore thumb. And finally, when I got to Barcelona, things sort of got better before they got worse. I was nearing 30. I never really felt like I fit in. And then I found CrossFit. I started tracking my macros, as one does. And I was convinced that I finally found like the thing that would control my raging sweet tooth, that would like keep me on track and actually get this body that I'd imagined for myself. And it did actually work. I got the quote unquote the dream body. And what happened is my entire life ended up revolving around the things I thought I needed to do to be perfect with my macros, to always make my training, to look like this image of what I thought was like the person I wanted to be. It was really just my attempt to feel worthy and to fit in, and it didn't work because when we focus on trying to change our bodies or trying to control things in our lives, specifically food or our bodies, to try to improve our self-worth, it never ends up working. And for me, for a long time, I was stuck in this echo chamber, this like hall of false praise where people are like, oh, you're so disciplined. Oh, your abs are so great. Like, wow, I wish I ate like you. I wish I had your discipline, right? And I brainwashed myself. I told myself for so long, macros are flexible. I can fit in anything as long as I stay within my targets. And I remember hitting what I thought was like, oh my gosh, when I reach this weight, I'm gonna I'm gonna be happy. And I wasn't happy. And I want to talk about today what's changed since I let that go. I did gain weight. I needed to gain weight. That was really important for me to be healthy. And I actually really appreciate and like how I look more now. And you might think like, ooh, that would never be me. Just hear me out, okay? Just hear me out. And so I want to talk about what's changed since I started putting in the active effort to start working on my relationship with food and body image, because I put this work off for so long. And I sort of brainwashed myself and like gaslit myself into like, well, I'm just going to be more flexible with macros, which meant that like I maybe wouldn't look at my macro app all day, but then at the end of the day, I would look at it and like frantically try to type everything in and remember every single thing I ate. Or I would say, well, I can't eat just one of these things because I'm going to want to eat all of it. Or I would try really hard to like control different things. Or it was just, I was bullshitting myself essentially. And so now I can honestly say what's changed for me since working on my relationship with food and my body image. I have a social life that I love and I actually feel really comfortable in. And this is really big for me because I spent so much of my life feeling like I didn't fit in and I was kind of a weirdo. And I am a weirdo, but that's actually one of the coolest things about me is I am a weirdo. And I now have friends that genuinely like me for me. And one of the reasons that I truly believe that they like me for me is because I'm not so insecure anymore that I'm like constantly thinking negative things about myself. And so I really can honestly interact with other people in like an honest and open and vulnerable way, that when I was so obsessed with food, I just wasn't able to do that. I just didn't have the brain space for it. And so getting to this point now in my like mid to late 30s, where I genuinely am like, I have a social life that I love. And so much of it is due to the fact that like I'm not thinking about food all of the time. I'm able to deal with my emotions in really healthy ways. I don't take things so personally anymore. And I think so much of that is due to the confidence that I've built in how I eat and how I live and how I move my body and how I feel in my body. Something else that's really changed is I love to travel. I've traveled my entire life. I got my passport when I was like 3 months old because my dad's from the UK, my mom is from the US. And traveling for so long there was so much logistics because it was like, okay, I got to make sure I have a place where I can cook. Now I need to find a grocery store. Now I need to make sure I have like, a bunch of protein bars that I can bring. I need to make sure I pack food for the airplane. I need to Google where all the gyms are. And I just think about how last year I went on a 2-week trip to Tanzania in Africa with 6 girlfriends. There were 7 of us. I had zero control over any of the food stuff, any of the like exercise stuff. And I felt so at ease just going with the flow and being really present in the experience instead of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? What if they don't have, protein? What if I don't eat enough protein today? Or what if, they offer me a dessert and like I've already eaten too much? There was none of that. It was just, I was there. And it's so big as someone that for so long, so many years, I would travel and like travel was, I would experience things sort of in between, like thinking about food. And it's just not like that anymore. Another thing that is really fun for me that I love that I can do now is I can buy whatever I want at the grocery store without like justifying it, without ripping into it the moment I get home, without like obsessing about it all the time. I can see something, be like, ooh, that's like a fun food I want to try. And I can buy it and keep it at home and I can try it and not have it be a thing. And that for me is like such a fun benefit of this work. Another thing that when I was thinking about this that I've noticed has been such a big change for me is I can let other people be in charge of plans now. And I know this is something that a bunch of my clients have said as well. I'm thinking of one client in particular that used to have to travel and like when she was traveling with her partner or with her friends, she would have to be the one that always picked the restaurants and her friends sort of knew like, oh, well, she's gonna, she needs to eat now because it's her meal times. And for me as well, like the being able to let other people cook for me, plan meals, bring me treats, choose the restaurant, choose the meal times. It is so freeing. And it's because I know that I can adjust. Like if dinner is later than normal, then I will just eat a snack. There's not mental drama around that. I don't need to plan the perfect snack. I just eat a snack. If someone cooks for me and it is low protein or has more oil than I think it should have, it's not a big deal because, especially with the mindful eating behaviors that I have built, I can trust myself to stop eating when I'm comfortably full. I can trust my body to let me know what it needs. If I know that if I eat a bit more today, I will likely be slightly less hungry tomorrow because I trust my body to let me to tell me those things. And that is such a huge benefit of having done this work. And then I have 2 more. One of them is my weight is really stable. And I don't talk a lot about weight on this podcast, but my weight is really fucking stable. And I know that that is a result of the fact that, one, if I ever eat one day, I do not freak out. I do not try to restrict, which then leads to me overeating. I'm like, my clothes just fit. And sometimes they're slightly tighter because it's maybe the holidays and I am eating a little bit more and that's normal. And sometimes they're a little bit looser. And those fluctuations, one, don't throw me off anymore. They don't cause me to spiral. 2, I don't even really notice them that much because I'm not so hyper focused on my body anymore. But 3, I know that I can pull out shorts that I wore like 2 or 3 years ago and they will still fit me. And that is without tracking a single macro. That is without obsessing over my protein intake. And I don't think we talk about enough how relationship with food is often really shitty because of how much we genuinely want to control our bodies. But the crazy thing is when you do the work, so the 6 pillars that I mentioned in my last episode, when you do that work, your body will settle at a comfortable place. at a place that is easy for you to maintain, at a place that, like, when you are treating yourself with respect and with care, you tend to be doing quite a few health behaviors, but you're not doing them from a place of fear. You're doing them from a place of, I genuinely want to care for myself, right? And personally, I feel strong. I think I look pretty good, even though, as I said, I've gained weight since my thinnest. I definitely don't look, quote unquote, as fit as I used to. Although we know fitness doesn't have a look. Like, fit people come in every shape and size. And also, I'm not thinking about food all the time. It's just like it's on my mind, like when I'm hungry, or maybe when I need to think about, like, oh, what am I going to make for lunch or dinner? But I'm not thinking about it that much. And as a result, my weight, this thing that I spent so much of my life trying to control, is just a non issue. And I understand that some people do have like medical conditions, or, maybe leptin resistance, all of these different issues that may contribute to your weight not necessarily being stable or being higher than you believe is healthy for you. And I still honestly believe that when you focus on health behaviors and how do I treat myself with respect, and when it comes from that place, you will find a place that your weight feels comfortable. It may be slightly more effortful for you than it is for me, but in my experience working with clients, this tends to be what happens is weight ends up stabilizing, and it is at a place that doesn't take a ton of like effort or thought to maintain. And I'm going to finish with a really sappy one, a really sappy little one. I might cry. I probably won't cry. I might. I genuinely don't think I would have met my partner, Chris, without this work. And so much of that is because I was so insecure. I had so much self doubt. I would go on dates and, like, I wouldn't even be able to eat normally on dates, of course. I couldn't eat normally anytime. But I was either thinking about food, I was worrying about my body, I was adjusting my outfits. And on my first date with Chris, after having done like a couple of years of this work, I genuinely just wasn't thinking about food at all. And on our third date, when we got dinner, we went for fish tacos at this like really, really good place here in Barcelona. And we shared, and it just felt easy. Food was not the focus. I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't like freaked out about sharing a meal or thinking about like what I need to do to make up for it, or thinking about what I'd already eaten that day and if I was allowed to order dessert. It wasn't on my mind. And honestly, it was over those tacos that I realized how much I really liked him. And now we're engaged. So that's really cute. And I want to finish this by saying I know the world screams like fat loss, diet, macro tracking, like, you must be on top of this if you want to, be whatever. But the life that you want is probably on the other side of working on your relationship with food and your relationship with yourself. It's not on the other side of forcing yourself to choke down your body weight in protein every day. And the goal isn't to just like not care. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, I have a great relationship with food, I don't care. Feeding our bodies well is still really important. I still care about eating a decent amount of protein and making sure I get in a good amount of fiber. I'm not just sitting here eating bags of candy all day. But the shift is away from having to control everything and towards trust, towards using a bit more of that internal wisdom that you have. And if you don't currently feel like you have internal wisdom, it is a skill you can develop. It exists within you, but you need to cultivate it. It is like a plant. You need to learn how to cultivate it. You need to be a gardener. And that shift towards trust can get you some of the results that I shared with you today. And so I have 5 coaching spots open this month. And I would love to chat with you if you are ready to take steps towards improving your relationship with food. And I've said this a million times. If we chat, if you sign up for a discovery call in the show notes and we decide that we're not the right fit, or I talk to you and I'm like, hey, I think someone else would be a really great fit to work with you, I will let you know that. I will always be open and honest with you. So you can find details about coaching in the show notes, where you can go ahead, you can schedule a discovery call, you can check out a little bit more about the details. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear, maybe you have some wins or you have some specific things from this episode that you're like, I would really love that. I would love to hear about it. And thank you for listening. I hope to see you again next time.